The translation is thus.
Give yourself to God daily. Keep yourself for God daily. And may tomorrow be as today.
We give homage to the Creator, who is like our Father and who is like our Mother, who is everything that we can perceive and everything that we cannot perceive, who is everything yet is no thing, who comes to us in the form of the natural Ra, who is the light of the heavens, light of the inner planes, as well as the light of our lives, who shines the light for us on the path of Ma'ati, which is the path of truth, justice, righteousness, and harmonious balance, who comes to us in the form of the light of vitality, giving us the strength and the endurance to live and act upon that which we know to be true. Homage to you, the one who shines in and through us as a beacon of light for those who are blind to the facts of their place, their position, and their responsibilities in the divine scheme of things. May we be Ma'akiru, true of thought, word, and deed, to our highest reality, and in the moments of crisis and the dark nights of the soul when it appears that everyone and everything else has let us down, and so it is, and so shall it be. Amen. Ma'akiru. 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 Let's see. Do it. Beyond the way. In Yeti, welcome all the people in the room. In Yeti, to the righteous and respectful chat online. We say welcome to the Kemmunion experience. How y'all doing? Y'all sure? The way the Netzer and the ancestors be working, they be trying to get me to freestyle a communion. I'll be resisting it. Causing things to happen in my life that's out of control. A couple days before that stops my meditation on what I'm supposed to be meditating on, I'm opening myself up for communion, but naturally I resist a little. So I still got my notes, so I'm gonna be a little bit rocky, but the message is still gonna be solid, so bear with me. Y'all know I'm serious about retention, right? Comprehension, retention. When I teach a lesson, I wanna know that you all remembered something from the last time, right? So what are some of the talking points that we had? Because last week we did the State of the Communion address. So what were several talking points? I'm not going to belabor the point, we're going to move on, but just to throw it out to the general crowd. Everybody's eyes cast down. Now they meditating Buddhas. Nothing?
We talked a bit about our authenticity.
Authenticity? Okay. All right. So we're going to get to it.
Did you give us some homework to do?
Not anything. Yeah, but it wasn't anything to report back here.
Oh.
But it was personal homework. All right, so we're going to get right into it. So the State of the Communion, the continuation of the address, I want to readdress some thoughts in there, just so you know what the State of the Communion is. It is discussions about our current state of consciousness collectively as a Kemetic community, as well as talking points as far as our charge and our insights on how we relate to others and the world, or others in the world, and how we intend to move forward. That's your understanding of the State of the Communion, right? Sure. That we just ain't getting creative calling something fly. We do that too. So, does this mic have too much bass in it?
No.
It just sounds like it needs to lighten up. Okay, so y'all remember we spoke about a narrative that goes on in our community. I talked about we have to control the narrative. We have to change as well as control the narrative when it comes to how we're being perceived in the community. And as adults, you can't let other people create and impose their imperative on you about yourself. You're a specialist in yourself. All of us have done a whole lot of work into becoming this version of ourselves. And aren't you all proud of who you become? From contrasting where you came? So wouldn't it be unfair for people outside of our circle to impose this false narrative upon us? And that's kind of like what happens in the conscious community. There's false narrative that's imposed upon spiritual practitioners of the ATR, but more specifically, there's this pointed disrespect at Kemetic practitioners. So they impose narratives on us that we're too religious, that we're like the Christians, and that we make things up. And if they had it their way, we'll stay stuck in circular conversations about his netter God and who we really are as a people and our nationality and why we wear white, or is yoga African or not. Those are the things that they like talking about. And those are important things, but they're not important for everybody across the board. So part of the state of the community is just we stay in our lane. There is a lane for people like us. And plus, I'm done with all that. I don't know about y'all, I'm tired of all that. People been in my ear about staying on those topics because they want you to be relevant in the community. Before, allegedly, in order for people to respect you, they want you to be relevant. And to be relevant, they want you to talk about what they want you to talk about. And what they're talking about is inconsequential and unproductive, and it doesn't move the needle for us as a people and collective. So at most, I consider those discussions like a guilty pleasure or a pastime, like watching a football game. Me and some of the brothers, we keep up with the debate topics with our brother Jabari and other brothers in the community, and we treat it like a football game. We be like, oh yeah, they said Jabari don't know metal nets, and then he hit him with the then whip head and that. You like, and they shut it down.
Touchdown.
And then tomorrow we still got to go to work, and that hasn't moved the needle. And that information is important, not to marginalize it, but it's just not important across the board. People are at different levels and different tiers, and we have our lane, and our lane is the practice of spirituality. We're no longer allowing ourselves to be put in position where we have to explain ourselves to people or show people receipts. If you are in tune with us as a community, you know what it is that we do for our community. You know when we do what we do for the community. So we're not doing things for people's accolades or pats on the back or to so-called stay relevant. We're staying in our lane because we're the temple of Anu. We're not a black organization. We're a spiritual temple that consists of families that are related by way of initiation, that are in mutual support of one another. Should I repeat that, or do y'all got that? We're a spiritual family related by way of spiritual initiation that are in mutual support of one another. It sounds like we're being selfish, and we are. So people expect spiritual people to do everything for everybody else, but everything starts with self, right? So people say, well, what about the community? We are the community. Army Cow, so the Chef Army Cow, you're retired, right? From working for the European. So is he the only retired person on the planet? Isn't the greater community, people that's retired in the greater world also, right? How many educators we have in here? That's half the room. So the point is, we don't exist in a vacuum in here. We all walk in two worlds at the same time. So y'all heard of the concept from the macrocosm to the microcosm, right? It's as above, so below. It's reflections, it's smaller and greater. So the point I'm making is we don't have to answer that question about what we're doing for the community because we're the community. It's people of different stations in this room. So when we change ourselves, we're changing the community. You understand that? Yes. It's metaphysic, it's esoteric. So that's a play off of Gandhi's "Be the change that you want to see in the world." Then Dr. King studied Gandhi. Then he did the March on Washington. Do we know what was the numbers Dr. King drew down there? Y'all remember? Offhand? 250,000. 250,000. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan studied what Dr. King did, and he got 1 million. 3 individuals that made up their mind influenced millions of people. So you see, we don't gotta be the biggest temple. We don't gotta do this whole nation thing. There gotta be millions of us. All we have to do is make up our mind and become resolute about what it is that we say we stand on and accept the consequences, whether good or bad, that comes with it, and let things unfold. It all starts with a decision. Decisions that you have to make every day to be who it is that you say you are. So with that being said, we don't have to do anything for the community. This is the message from Spirit to Black folks. Let's not be so preoccupied with who's selling out. And we need to pay more attention to why people aren't buying in. That speaks volume, bars. Communion over. Just think about that. We'll get back to the next in 2 weeks. We don't have to worry about, don't pay so much attention about who's selling out. Let us start understanding why people aren't buying into this vision of nation building. Because this whole so-called black thing, black power movement, is based off of struggle, and nobody in their right mind signs up for struggle. And they led you to believe and try to get people to be dishonest with themselves, to believe that they don't really want the finer things in life. It's just not true. And that's why that movement isn't growing, because nobody really wants to do it. So there's a surface conversation about certain things are important, but most people don't want to do it. So when you keep talking the struggle that nobody's buying into, then what happens with our community, we get comfortable with underperforming and under-delivering, and way too comfortable with, just too comfortable with disappointment. So we hit a glass ceiling, and that ceiling isn't even high, it's low. So we have a bunch of conscious folks walking around acting like success isn't important, acting like abundance isn't important. When the people that we say that we're trying to reach need to see examples of success and abundance coming from all of us that claim we got this knowledge and this special connection to the source. And that's why they sell out, because the fools that's looking like they got the least connection seem like they got the most in the world. And don't we know that there's a connection between spiritual energy and material energy? It's as above, so below, so within, as without. So the material plane is just spiritual energy at its lowest form of vibration. So how spiritual are you? So if you're highly spiritual, you're supposed to be highly material. As above, so below. So we have to lessen our contradictions. No one's perfect, but we have to lessen our contradictions, especially how we're moving in this physical world. If you want to impact people, you're going to have to master this physical world. You can't come in here with all this spiritual stuff talking about you gave up the world. Like, Negro, you never had it. You got to be able to have it first to give it up. Right?
That's a word. Repeat that word.
He said, repeat, we going to church today. You gotta have it in order to give it up. You can't give up something you never had. So how can we really help the underserved if we don't have abundance? So what happens is we tend to over criticize the people with the money, like they ain't spending enough money. You be like, damn, they gave $500,000. Did you get $500? Did you get $5? So the people with the most criticisms do the less contributions, energetically as well as financially. So we have to release ourselves from the prison of other people's narratives. So the problem is we've accepted some of the narratives. Because every little success, whether small or greater, you got people side-eyeing you, making it seem like you somehow did something wrong. In our community, we become the bliss police. What you doing happy?
Right.
Like they act like some type of, like being fulfilled about anything is somehow off code. So release ourselves from the prison of other people's narratives. The things that you've done in the past do not define you, right? So here's the second part. The things you've done in the past does not define you. The things you've done in the past are the dung that serves for the catalyst of your transformation. So now we have to realize and accept self-forgiveness. We can't be sweating stuff from 10 years ago. It had to happen. It had to go that way for contrast. Y'all understand? You're like, I'm here because I came from there. You're like, okay, I didn't like where I came from, but I'm here now, so do I next? So that thing, whatever it was that I was involved with, whatever I did, I had to do that to become this version of myself. It's all contrast. This physical plane is contrast to the spiritual plane. We have to constantly keep our hearts, minds, and opens looking for these correspondences and connections. So when you understand how far you came, then you have to have that attitude of gratitude. The gratitude is about acknowledging the contrast, but that gratitude has to evolve into appreciation. Appreciation is just like, yo, I'm good. Whatever happened, I don't see the good and bad. I'm evolving. I'm good. Bring it on. I'm going to transmute it because I'm the divine in the flesh. That's what divine beings do. We play with that every now and then. We play with it. Then when the bad start coming, we're like, oh, it's because they did black magic to me. And you're like, no, you're supposed to be a divine being in the flesh. You control your reality. You had cracks in your armor. So when you say you're a divine being in the flesh, you're 100% responsible. So we like the accolades of the title, but we don't like the responsibility of it. Are y'all looking all set?
That's what I was saying.
And we can turn that heat down. Yeah. I know that ain't my It's like a sweat box up here. Y'all good with the heat? It ain't?
It's a little warm.
It's a little warm.
All right. Just in contrast, my personal experience, just over the years, I remember myself being at a certain level and I allowed people to talk me off a level to be more relatable to other people. People are like, oh, Nassit, you're intimidating. Some people had a problem that I got the title Nassit. Can y'all believe that? I got 5 people on my Facebook friend that they use the title Nassit. I guarantee you they don't get no slack about that. You got cats calling themselves the deity's name. I just said I'm chief king. You got cats calling, they got their whole name is a bunch of God names or deity names. I'm just saying I'm the chief. Why is that a problem? You're intimidating. You can only be intimidating by people who haven't found out how to walk effectively in their power. So it was constantly in my ear that being powerful turns people off. So I went with trying to be more relatable, and I was miserable because I wasn't being my authentic self. Y'all know I do music, right? I do hip hop amongst some other things. I do spiritual music too. Because of conversations like that, I gave up, or I allowed myself to be influenced to give up music a long time ago. Because people in our community, they say things directly and indirectly to make you seem like you're off track with where you're supposed to be. I remember being in college and meeting another brother. We was part of a black organization. He was a little bit further on the spiritual path than me. I looked up to him. He knew I rhyme. I've been rhyming since the 70s, y'all. Revealing my age, right? He like, you got
70s.
From the beginning, when I first heard Rap is the Light, rhyming since then. That's the first documented hip hop record, on record. But anyway, so meeting a person, as an artist, you get excited when you see another person that do what it is that you do. So he was like, yeah, I used to rhyme. And I'm like, oh, why you stop? Because if you're a musician, you're not supposed to stop. That's part of how you authentically express yourself. Like a person who paints don't ever stop painting. You might not be trying to make money with it, but you're supposed to still paint. That's part of your gift that you were supposed to release into the world. Even if you ain't making money, it might make money for your family after you pass. They're like, oh, this is a masterpiece. We see that with Tupac, right? He then got off the whole, he more popular after he passed than he was when he was living. So when I asked him why he stopped, he just said, I decided to direct my energies in more productive ways. Now in retrospect, I'm like, is that shade that he was telling me I was indulging in something foolish and I need to Because a lot of people do that. They be like, our people need saving. Forget all that fun stuff and get to work waking up these people, liberating our people. That's how I chose to interpret it over the years, because y'all know how it is when you find a passion in your heart, it be your own community that don't support you in it. So when I did that, I allowed myself to be talked off of that high frequency, my heart chakra closed. So music was my love first before spirituality. They close, they even like this. I love spirituality, I love music, and we know it's a relationship between both. So in retrospect, how can I let somebody talk me out of doing another form of spirituality? Music is important. Music is the backdrop of our lives. Some of us will fall serious into some serious mental health issues if you didn't have music, right? That music is telling the narrative of your life, whether it's a positive narrative or a negative narrative. It's helping you express it. You be like, I ain't got the words, I'm feeling some sort of way. I'm going to listen to pop. I'm going to listen to Mary J. Blige. I'm going to listen to Jill Scott. I'm going to listen to whoever. Everybody got versions of your story that works as a form of release for you. So in a sense, music is a form of shadow work. Would y'all agree? When you're listening to the artists, that's them working their stuff out. And then you find out that as different as we be trying to say we are, we're not really that different. You be like, oh yeah, Mary J was going through it too. Drake was going through it too. J. Cole Kendrick was going through mental health issues. Here it is, you thought all these people got it made and they going through it worse than you. They like, damn, he was going through it like that. So we need music, not to belabor that point, but I allowed myself to be talked off of that. I allowed people to not let me express myself authentically. So what happens, what I'm saying is I sacrificed trying to be relatable to being inspiring. That's a better look. So when I'm in my back, because I started doing music again over what we call the quarantine, the pandemic, I got back into it, the heart chakra opened back up. Now I don't have to strive to be relatable, I express myself through the music. So I said I stopped trying to be relatable and went to being inspiring. So when you inspire others, you give other people the permission to do the same thing, to indulge in their passion. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to contrast this with what's being taught in the community. You have people saying, we ain't got time for that fun stuff. Our people need help. Stop with the childish games, get on the path. We gotta liberate our people. We got a nation build, right? And all that's important, but the whole thing is if you're not fulfilled, you have nothing to give. If you haven't found your bliss, you have nothing to give. You have to be filled. And when you filled up, you're like, okay, I'm good. I got my gift and my talents is flowing through me. I got to share. I got enough to make sure somebody else is good. So when I did the music thing and found her passion in dance, now you got notable people in the community contacting her personally about her dance thing. Heart chakra opens up. So now you're giving people their permission. Now we have this comedic platform as a form of a platform for people to contribute their gifts. Now what I'm saying is liberation happens by default. Nation building happens by default. If everybody's good what it is they're doing and feeling good, they're going to want to do some things together. It's part of the natural conversation. You don't have to force it. But if you never got what you want and then they tell you you should be living your life for some strangers who don't even come to the community, like, what you doing for the people over there on 8th Street? You'd be like, I don't know them. You know the people on 8th Street ain't 8. You'd be like, yo, we got a welcome table. They need to come through. So they got you busy paying attention to other people instead of following your own bliss. But with all that being said, we're not angry at anybody. I'm not angry. This is just part of my journey. This is part of all of our journey. And in that, we're not saying that we're no longer going to support other people. We're going to still continue to support other people. We're just going to prioritize what's important to us first. Isn't that fair? Aren't y'all ready to prioritize yourselves first? So within what it is that we do, you have to find your bliss. That's something you rarely hear from spiritual people or comedic people, finding your bliss. We hear a lot about scholarship. We hear a lot about language. We hear a lot about nationalism. We hear a lot about debating, but nobody wants to have a conversation about what does it require for me to be good? What does it require for me to be good with myself and my circumstances? Here's a comedic quote. It says, listen to your ba, follow your ab, and do what is pleasing to your ka. No repeating, I gotta be sharp. Now, it's gonna be the lesson, I'm gonna go over it several times, so I'll repeat it again. Listen to your ba, follow your ab, and do what is pleasing to your ka. So I'm good with the metal netter. So a metal netter will be sejamin ba ek, sesh ab ek, ardi sahatet ka ek. See your rhymes, they have bars. Listen to your ba, follow your ab, and do what is pleasing to your ka. So that whole thing is called, the essence of that is called awut ab. Can y'all say that? Awut ab. Anybody know what that means? Nobody? It means the expansion of the heart. So a Kemite wouldn't say, oh, I'm happy, or that makes me glad. They'll say, it expands the heart. They spoke very poetic. They spoke in metaphor. They spoke in double entendre. Because you feel that heart chakra, something changes. When your breathing changes, when you feel good, your breathing changes, you get a flutter in your heart. When you're in love, you love someone, you get a flutter in your heart. Y'all see it with your children and things like that. Something happens in this chest area. That's the awutab. Y'all remember from the Weapon Pet CD? Weapon Put, awutabu. That means the opening of the year expands the heart. The opening of the year brings joy. That's what that breaks down to. But our community, like I said, they become the bliss police. What are you doing happy? There's work to be done. What are you doing celebrating? Our people are dying in the streets. A feast. There's poor people, there's hungry people. Life is not good. What's going on with you? Don't we all teach that you create your reality? So can't life be good for you and it not be good for somebody sitting several seats behind? So technically everybody's responsible for creating their own reality, right? So technically everybody gets exactly what they deserve, right? See, that's the conversation nobody wants to have. It's easy to blame the white people. All this information out here, all these books out here, everybody should have came up, Think and Grow Rich, all of this stuff. Nobody has an excuse not to be on that path, even if you're just doing it poorly, but everyone has the charge to be in the know. And plus, those things like our people are dying in the street, it's not good. Those thoughts don't serve us. They never did, if we're honest with ourselves, right? It's a ceiling to that. It makes sense on one level, but you can't form a way of life out of being angry and outraged. That'll get you up out of here, especially for black men. That'll get you up out of here quick. If you haven't found a way to find your bliss and your contentment, you living on borrowed time every day. The diet is only going to take you so far. Don't talk to me about no alkaline if you got acidic thoughts. You can eat all the salad, you might as well eat chicken wings if you ain't thinking right. If you in bliss eating chicken wings, you might turn the chicken wings to alkaline. Instead of being miserable eating the salad and you upset with yourself, your circumstance, and your food nasty. That's problems. That showed you how powerful the mind is. So I've reflected on the experiences of us as Africans in America. And I've come to the conclusion that with all the access to technology and information, we've reduced our potential to be great and brilliant. We've reduced it to low vibrational narcissism, meme culture, even though some of that stuff be funny, a lot of it be funny, and trolling. like it's on, y'all know, like going online when you know, like, damn, you like, okay, we on online, Facebook, this is supposed to be the tribe, right? You friend requests and you accept friend requests of people you thought you had stuff in common with. Then you realize, like, damn, nobody's good. People are expressing all types of shadow stuff on their page, and you gotta pull back from it every once. I ain't even gonna say every once in a while. You gotta just really monitor just your exposure to that. If everything is mental, you gotta be conscious of what you feed your spirit, right?
Yeah.
People are feeling empowered by marginalizing what's sacred to other people. I'm gonna repeat that. People are feeling empowered by marginalizing what's sacred to other people. I just always hear this religious talk. People always want to use the Christians as the butt of the jokes, the Moors as the butt of the jokes. Oh, I don't like the faith, Jesus this, and some people feel like it's their duty to wake people up. And my answer to that is like, it's none of your business. When I look at my own journey, I can't give no one individual credit for waking me up. No one thing somebody said woke me up. Definitely if they was disrespecting me. That we more likely to fight or more likely to cut you off if you think the best way to communicate with me is to disrespect what I hold sacred instead of speak to me on my level. Or just plant a seed and keep it moving, but not belabor the point. It's none of your business, because if we believe that divinity exists within each one of us, then that means nature is always in control. All things are in divine order, even when you don't think it's in divine order. That's all astrology is. Astrology is telling you all things is in divine order. Astrology is a default balancing system. You can either decide I'm walking consciously as a divine being in the flesh and I'm controlling my reality directly, or you fall by default to the forces and you'd be like, okay, you're gonna have to go the long way. We're gonna walk you around the corner, take you through some Mercury and retrograde cycles and take you through a Pluto cycle. You're gonna get home one way or another. And if you really looked at your life and somebody showed you the astrological influences when you was going through what you was going through unconsciously, you'll find that it was all in divine order. There is a rhyme or reason to it. So if I'm saying if the divine being exists within all of us, then it's only going to take a certain circumstance to awaken that. And when those certain circumstances awaken the thing, it becomes a series of awakenings. You don't just wake up. You'll remember something somebody said, and somehow you'll wind up at a bookstore, this book come out. You know, it's a process. And then when you look back at the process and all the people, it all makes sense. But nothing no one person says is going to wake you up. So it's a lot of ego. Why is all this ego in it? Because people haven't found their bliss. And they're trying to find pleasure in being disruptors. And that's no disrespect to them. We just addressing how we're supposed to be conducting ourselves as spiritual people. We're supposed to be responsible. So we made trauma bonding a norm. Way too comfortable with trauma bonding. To the point where people don't support positive stuff no more. You can't get people to come to a positive event for nothing. They claim they ain't got no money, they ain't got the time, but you got people willing to pay $1,000 for that Beyonce concert. Right? But we say 25, you're like, damn, 25? I gotta pay 25. They pay 25 to get in the club. It's 50 now? Wow. So then we gotta charge 50 for whatever, 50 for the solstices and stuff. We gotta stay competitive. Inflation. So we've been subtly undermining positivity in our community. For the past 60 years, we've been trying to reclaim our African heritage. We've been saying, remember, like over the years, everything Kemetic, all the teachers said, that's us, right? That's your ancestors, trying to make us feel good about it. Remember reading the Bible, then somebody told you, you know that's black people in the Bible, right? They're like, that's us. You're like, okay, the Kemetic people is us, the Bible people is us. Then you get to the Moorish thing, and you like, you know that ain't Spanish people, you know that was black folk. You know it was black folks ruling Europe and stuff, right? And we like, okay, all of this, now here we are in 2023. The Kemetic stuff, that ain't you. That ain't your ancestor. The Moors throwing the feds, that ain't your ancestors. The Israelites doing their thing, that ain't your ancestors. Like, you see these games that we playing these cycles, we gotta stop. That's why I said I'm disconnecting from that. So Kemetic ain't us, Hebrew ain't us, Moor ain't us, Native American ain't us. So what are we? So if science is the new religion, y'all know everybody trying to go with science. What is the science? I'll follow the science. See where that got us with the COVID situation. Follow the science. You're pseudo. Who's pseudo now? Nowhere near a cure to that thing. They keep it keeps mutating, just like I said it was going to do. And each mutation gets lesser and lesser. So now it's reduced down to the flu. What we said at the beginning, but people was being in their emotions when we was talking about it. But I ain't gonna glow. So since y'all religion is science, what does science say we are? Science says you're sub-Saharan African. What does that phrase invoke in you? So when I say sub below zero temperature outside, does it invoke something positive? So when I say substandard living conditions, do it invoke something positive? Subhuman. So this sub, even though it's nothing negative in itself, is always tended to have kind of like a negative connotation. So sub-Saharan African. So even the Arabs in Egypt, they're upset with black folks like us that's reclaiming the Kemetic legacy. They say, go back to your own culture. You're sub-Saharan African. So that's the new nigger word. Go back to your sub-Saharan African thing. I'm like, I don't think they mean that in a positive way. So science says we're sub-Saharan Africans. All it means is below the Sahara. So you see the picture of Africa and there's a line down the middle. So they're saying all black people come from under that line. Do y'all know that most of the great civilization was above that line? So that's a form of saying all the great stuff happened by other people and not us, and we ain't done nothing, we done. So now, they're like, okay, what's happening in the South? They're finding bones and just crude signs of culture. So it is nothing, it doesn't appear to be anything solid of a so-called great civilization in the South. They'd be like, that's your ancestor. When in reality, that is the genetic source of all life. So it started in South Central Africa, or would you say LA? No. It started in South Central Africa, went west, went north, east, went out of Africa, came back, migrated, and all these great things happened. So the point is, we're all of that. So anything that happened after we left, we're all of that. Those are just different phases of our human experience. So yeah, we could be Kemetic, even though we're not directly connected to what history says is the Kemetic people. If it all started in the South, it's all us. So back to what they were teaching us 60 years ago, that's all us. So what's the problem when people are trying to bring back the Moorish nation, the Israelite nation, the Kemetic nation? That's how the ancient world looked. So now we have the right to go with our more modern interpretation of it, but there's nothing wrong with all of these things because they're all us. Why is that a problem? That we're associating with those things. So those things don't represent the totality of who we are. They're aspects of the journey. They don't represent the totality of who we are. Listen to that. They don't represent the totality of who we are. As above, what? So below. As within. Doesn't that sound familiar? When we say Netu is everything that we can perceive and everything that we can't perceive, you see that as above, so below thing. So if it all came from sub-Saharan Africa and it developed into we're all of those, but none of that at the same time. So you have the right to claim any of it if you want. So we gotta stop being upset that people ain't made the same decision that we made. So if the Israelite thing could get you on your path and your center better than the Kemetic thing, more power to you. If the Moorish thing do it for you, more power to you. And if you really seek truth, it's going to bring you back to Kenya and sub-Saharan Africa anyway. You're going to learn to get a healthy respect to that anyway, because us outside ain't in control of people's evolution. The netter is everything that we can perceive and everything that we can't perceive. So that works like the netter. So y'all heard of Sekhmet, right? But y'all know her name is Sekhmet Ra. Did y'all know that? That's the proper name, Sekhmet Ra. Ra is the Neteru. Ra is the king of the Neteru. So Sekhmet is an aspect of Ra. So we look goofy out here. Oh, it's about Sekhmet. We're going to do the Sekhmet. It's going to be all the divine feminine. You're like, no, it's just an aspect of Ra. We have Heru, but Heru comes from Ra, Heru Kuti, the Heru of the two horizons. So we're going to do Heru. All aspects of Ra. We have Keper. Keper is Keper Ra. What is Ra symbol? Sun, disk, and what? The dot in the middle. So that dot represents the center, and the circle represents contrast and variables. Center, contrast, variables. So it's like me standing in my auras around me. That aura is radiating from me. Y'all understand that point? So as above, so below, so within. Sub-Saharan Africa went north, south, east, west. Y'all start seeing the connection. It's all divine. Don't you hear science talk about this Big Bang theory? You talk about this pressure that was at the beginning. They call it what we call September first time. Then there was a big explosion. They said the universe is expanding, right? Y'all heard that at least, right? And they said one day the universe is going to contract, right? That's Ra, that single point variation, variables, contrast. When we meditate, we start from no breath, then we inhale, we hold, right? Back to the center. Exhale, hold, back to the center. How we look, you like, yo, we're the exhale crew out here. These fools over here, they inhale and thinking they got the power. The power's in the exhale. That's yang. You feel that? That's what we're doing. The exhale tribe, and you got the inhale tribe. They don't understand it. It's about the yin. Breathe. You see, it's abundant, right? See, they're losing the energy over there. They're losing their energy. Where's the energy going? That's what's happening. It all comes from the center. So you're going to inhale, you're going to exhale, but it's all coming from the center. It's all Ra. Y'all heard of the heart chakra, right? How many chakras is it above the heart chakra? Three. How many is it below the heart chakra? The center again. As above, so below, radiates. It's all divine. Now we get back to that. Listen to your Ba. Follow your Ab. Do what is pleasing to your Ka. So what is the Ba? Listen to your Ba. Sejam Ba Ek. So Sa is the oversoul. Y'all see, sometimes y'all see the body and you have the bird with the head of the person floating over the body, right? So we can say it's the oversoul, but it's really the inner soul. And even a more appropriate word for soul in this sense or context is more of a manifestation. Ba is to be seen as divine manifestation. That divine spirit within. And it's on the head of a bird because it's talking about the ability to transcend circumstances, the transmigration of the soul. You're not of this world. You come and you go. When you finish here, you migrate back to another dimension. That's why it's the head over the bird. Follow your Ab. What is the Ab? Shem's Ab Ek. But you said, what is the heart again? Ab, and what is that?
The heart center point.
So the center point. She said the heart center point. But the heart, what do we mean by the heart? The English word. Consciousness. Some say mind. Okay. What is the word backwards? Ba. So the Ba communes with the mind, the divine manifestation, the divine within communicates with you by way of your heart. The heart is the seat of the soul. That's what you call inversion. We keep going with the as above, so below, so within. There's always examples of that. Do what is pleasing to your Ka. Now, what is the Ka? spirit. They say the double. I say the ancestral self. When we say the spirit, we're talking about the vital energy, the etheric energy. So do what is pleasing to your etheric energy. So in that statement, you have know thyself, know thy purpose, and do what makes you feel good. Do what makes you feel renewed. That's the closest to what that's the prescription for follow your bliss. So sometimes when we get so much into the scholarships and the nation building and stuff, we forgot to follow our bliss. That stuff ain't bringing no bliss. So in all of the scholarship, we're overlooking the true meaning of how rich this culture is right in front of us. Mm-hmm. So another check. Go to, anybody got the Hosea? Go to page 18 in the Hosea. It's a prayer of Ned Ra to Amen Ra. Yeah, let's see it. Page 19. Second paragraph. It says, O Ra, I love you, and I have filled my heart with you. We're going to unpack that. O Ra, I love you, and I have filled my heart with you. So what is Ra? Say that again? Cosmic consciousness. A metaphor for the intelligence of the cosmos. So, O cosmic intelligence of the cosmos, I love you. What is the Kemetic word for love? And what is the glyph for love?
Plow.
The plow. And what is the action of the plow? To work, dig. So now we're talking double entendre. Remember back in the day, I dig you. Yo, Ra, I dig you, man. Or I dig you, energy. And what organ is associated with love?
Heart.
So it's something that resides deep in the heart, right? Then it goes on to say, and I filled my heart with you. That goes back to Autab, the expanding of the heart, the joy. So I'm filled by contemplating on you and loving you. My heart is filled with joy. Like, why is he talking about this? What's the purpose of that? Read the rest of the text. Hold up. We're discussing the importance of light and love in the expansion of the heart and following the bliss of the heart. So go ahead, Judy, read loud.
You will rescue me from the mouth of the multitude on the day when they speak lies against me.
Okay. All right. So for the people online, it says, O Ra, I love you and I fill my heart with you. You rescue me from the mouth of the multitude on the day when they speak lies against me. So we're trying to get back to our fundamentals of spirituality, that everything is mind, everything is consciousness, everything is frequency. Bliss is a frequency. It is a high vibrating frequency. So it says it rescues you from the mouth of the multitude. So if thoughts create things, whatever you vibrate on, that's what you keep creating, right? Mm-hmm. Even unconsciously. So if you focus on your high vibration, you got no choice but to walk into high vibrational circumstances. Do y'all believe that? So understand, when you faking it till you make it and then you ain't walked yourself into vibrational circumstances, everything life is giving you biofeedback at all times. Like, you ain't on it, player. You're like, but I did my prayers and I did my meditations in the morning. Like, you ain't gone deep enough. Because at any given time, you will always know where you're at in the divine scheme of things. You can't blame nobody for anything. So the point is, so when you got that bliss in your heart, you're opening the way for more positive experiences. So it says it rescues you from the mouth of the multitude. Meaning, everybody's going to have some haters, but for the most part, the community is not going to hate on you because you're doing right. You're showing up properly in your relationships. Your frequency is right. If we all are reflections for one another, if you really radiating divine love, and we all do our meditations and we're really clearing our aura and stuff like that, we ain't got no choice but to radiate the best from one another. So y'all see how that works as a protection from the mouth of the multitude? So you'll have people fight on your behalf. You'll be like, oh, Keisha's done something, she's helping the poor, like, yo, I just saw her do such and such and such, and she get, and you be like, yo, Keisha's a scammer. And you be like, man, I'm gonna punch you in your face. You say, how you gonna say that about somebody like that? That's how it works. So you're gonna have some haters, but that ain't gonna be the predominant vibe going on. Say, you will rescue me from the mouth of the multitude on the day when they speak lies against me, for the Lord or the owner of righteousness does what, Judy?
Lives in righteousness.
Say that in Meta Nuts.
For the Neb of Ma'at lives in Ma'at.
Yeah, I'm trying to say Ankim Ma'at. That's what it said, lives in righteousness. Ankim Ma'at. So it's in the text, Ankim Ma'at. It's a charge, it's an affirmation to live your higher truth. Live in your higher truth. Live in alignment with your higher truth. Thus, I will not dwell on the anxiety in my heart. There's no anxiety in your heart because you already filled it with the joy in the light of Ra. Then it says, for surely what Ra has said will come to pass. How does Ra speak to you? Or where does he speak to you? Remember, the heart is the seat of the soul. Remember, it goes back to say, it says, listen to your Ba. How do you listen to your Ba? It says, follow your heart. So it's all in your mind. Now you see why God is a figment of your imagination. You be like, actually, you're right. But that's the source of your power. Your imagination is God. Your imagination is divine. That's where you receive your instructions. So your divine manifestation is your code for purpose in life. And you work out the details through meditating at the heart. Then that's how you know how to do what is pleasing to your God. Y'all see how that works? I'm trying to show you a pattern that I'm not making this stuff up. This is in the text. Go to Patala Tech, page 42. This is some of y'all favorite quote over the years. Y'all know it when you get it. Go ahead, Judy.
Be diligent as long as you live.
Y'all remember that? Be diligent as long as you live. Go ahead.
Always doing more than is commanded of you.
Always doing more than what is commanded of you.
Do not misuse your time while following your heart.
Do not misuse your time while following your heart.
For it is offensive to the soul to waste one's time.
For it is offensive to the soul to waste one's time. We're going to stop there because we got a revelation. We got an unvelation there. Read the top, the second sentence.
Do not misuse your time.
No, that's the second.
Or always doing more.
Yeah, that part.
Always doing more than is commanded of you.
All right, say that again.
Always doing more than is commanded of you.
One more time.
Always doing more than is commanded of you.
Okay, I'm gonna check y'all intuition. Where y'all think I'm going with that?
You should do more than you think you should do.
She said you should do more than you think you should do. Like, this is gonna be funny when we get into it.
If you find joy and bliss in it, then it's easy to do more than is commanded of you.
Excellent. But it's still gonna be a kicker. Watch this.
The more you give, the more you get, because as above, so below, as within, so without.
Okay.
Settle for a C, go for the A+. Do more than is required of you.
Okay, let's slow it down. Read it one more time.
From top? Or no?
That's just that sentence.
Always doing more than is commanded of you.
Always doing more than what is commanded. This is a lesson in knowing the language, y'all. Watch this. I read the original text. A lesson in language. Y'all heard of Wallace E. Buzz, right?
Yeah.
And in the Kemetic circles, they be like, oh, don't trust Budge's translation. You got to watch the translations, right? And that's why we have new people studying Meta to go over newer, more profound translations. To be fair to Wallace Budge, 100 years ago, they did pretty good for what it is that they had at the time for first deciphering the language.
Sure.
So you can't be all in your emotion. Oh, they deciphered it wrong on purpose to get us off track. Like, no, they were just figuring it out.
Sure.
So 100 years happened since then, and we learned a lot more about the language. The point is, I went to the language, to the essence of that text, and it don't say that.
Oh, wow.
So in my experience, remember, Milana Karenga is black, and he put this in the Hussein, we should trust black folk. I I have my suspicions on why he translated it. What it actually says, it says, be diligent as long as you live. Don't do more than don't do more than was commanded of you.
Wow.
So it leads me to believe that, I don't even know if Malana Karenga reads Metal Netra. Roman has is like he looks over the European stuff and then he puts it in African context, because when they were reading it and translating it, they didn't look at Kemet as an African culture. So he aligned where he thought he was aligning it to not just African culture. I believe it was his personal beliefs that black folks is lazy and we need to do more. We trying to raise nations, back to that work thing again. You got to work, you can't be relaxing. So it says, don't do more than, now it changes the essence of what's going on. So we go back, it says, don't do more than is commanded of you. Then it goes on to say, don't misuse your time while following your heart. We shouldn't solve. It goes back to following you. It said, listen to your Ba, follow your heart, follow your bliss. He said it's offensive to the what?
Soul.
And what is the soul again?
Ba.
And what is the Ba again? Divine manifestation. It is offensive to the divine manifestation in you to waste one's time. So in essence, it said doing more than was commanded of you is wasting your time, because you're supposed to be following your bliss. Meaning you can't just live for your kids. You can't just live for the job and just staying unproductively busy because people are guilting you into doing more. So we're going to close it out. Ma'at. Would y'all all say Ma'at is the law, the divine law? That it is greater than just those 42 sentences on the page, right? Y'all heard of the 7 Hermetic principles? Which I say that's a fair and more realistic estimation of what divine law is. Exactly. So we're going to roll with the 7. So if Ma'at is law, Ma'at is divine. So remember in our ritual at Hinek Ma'at, I get up here and I do the pronouncement. I say, speak Ma'at, do Ma'at. She is mighty. She endures. Her value lies in the hands of those who know how to use her. Y'all remember those words? All right, speak Ma'at, do Ma'at. She is mighty. She endures. Her value lies in the hands of those who know how to use it. So these are the type of conversations we're supposed to be having about spirituality. Like, what does this stuff really mean? We hear the words, we understand, we have we get it intuitively, but let's flesh it out. So if Ma'at is a divine law, and remember I added on a definition to Ma'at. Remember I said Ma'at is alignment. Alignment with the higher self. The Ma'at is the alignment with the highest version of yourself that you can perceive. So speak Ma'at, do what is in alignment with your higher self. Speak Ma'at, speak what's in alignment with your highest perception of truth. Do Ma'at, do what's in alignment with your higher perception of truth. You see how it's starting to change what it is. Speak what's in alignment with the highest aspect of yourself. Do what's in alignment with the highest aspect of yourself. For she, meaning the divine law, alignment is mighty and it endures. Remember, let's go back. What are the 7 Hermetic laws, just off the top? Name me one.
First one is
Everything is mental. All is mind. Law of correspondence. Law of vibration. Law of gender. Law of polarity. Cause and effect. So we understand in this polarity, this rhythm back and forth. That is the divine law. So we take it back to the top. It's all is mental, all is mind. All of those other things are umbrellas that fall from the mind. So the mind is creating the reality. So all of that sums up what's known as the law of attraction. What you focus on exclusively becomes an actual physical state. I repeat, what you focus on exclusively becomes an actual physical state. So now you have to look at what's going on with your personal circumstance. It's showing you what you're focusing on. You can't play, you can't hide. Because she's mighty, she's endures. Her value does what? Lies in the hands of those who know how to use it, who knows how to use that law to create that reality that you want. So this is opening up something totally new, right? Then it said, Ma'at's divine law, alignment with your highest version of what you believe to be true, leads one to sacredness. What is sacredness? Sacred means something that is set apart. What sets you apart from the rest of the world is your knowledge of that divine law and how to apply that. That's a whole new dimension of just saying those pronouncements. It's flowery, poetic words. It sounds good, but that's a whole different meaning. And this is the path of the initiate, those who seek in the path of the initiate. That's what we're doing when we come to these gatherings with our kesu and our ritual. We're all coming on one accord to apply that divine law to create that reality, or to create a better version of reality for ourselves. So you're either constantly recreating what you have already, or you're creating something new. So if everybody keeps distracting you with black people, this, that, and they got their foot on your neck, and you be like, yeah, black power, da, 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 you're creating more of that. And you ain't creating no new reality, you're just gonna get more of what it was that you were focusing on. So we're gonna have the gumption to think something different, think something higher. And that's why it's important to be in the room, people online. That's important to be in the room when we're gathering to combine this energy. Y'all be up here having somebody complicated working her behind off, and she be like, yo, what's up with y'all? You know, like she be going in and you supposed to be mirroring that. So if you can't mirror that, what's that saying about you? When you come into the space, we're not talking culture, we're coming into space to be about. For several hours out of the day, we in that whole African experience that everybody else keeps talking about. We showing up in garments, we singing a language, we're going on, like, it don't get no deeper than this. Where do they do that at? Because we're trying to be aligned. Being aligned opens the way. And I'm gonna end it on this, though. Being aligned opened the way, so all the people online and all those people that follow us, you're invited to be aligned with us to open the way for better realities for our people. And if not, that's cool too, because now might just not be the time. We don't want nobody feeling guilty. You're either in alignment with us or not. There's no guilt in that, right? You're either in alignment or you're not. We can't take it personal. We gotta let go of taking things personal, because you might not be in alignment now. You might 6 months down the line, you just over what it was and you can't even remember why you wasn't in your right mind. So I'm gonna leave it on this. So we all walk out of here not allowing ourselves to be distracted by politics, distracted by whatever's going on with the world, or even hiding behind metaphysics and spirituality. You all, in the quiet of your space, in the quiet of your heart, when you listen to what your body is saying in your ob, you have to answer these questions. What is it that you're good at? And what is it that you want to do? That's the question that stumps 9 out of 10 people. That's what makes people flow from one movement to the next, because they haven't figured out, they haven't listened to their body, they haven't got their charge from spirit, they haven't found their bliss. When you find that bliss, what is it and what do you want to do with it? So I ended on that. So let everybody stand. Hands in the 90-degree angles. We say shimmy and latap.
Shimmy and latap.
Brothers right over left, sisters left over right. D and new, Uncle Jocelyn.
D and new, Uncle Jocelyn.
Open up, give energy around the room, retract the foot, bring it into the aisle, ground it on the count of 3 on the right foot, Wasanu, Shemet. All right.
That's it.
Everyone, we would like to thank you, those of you who have joined us online on Facebook and YouTube Live today. We thank you for the energy of your presence, as well as the donations that you sent to us in reciprocity in Ma'at. Donations can be sent by PayPal to templeofthenew@gmail.com or via Cash App to $Temple of the New. We look forward to seeing you all join us online at our next regularly scheduled communion in 2 weeks. And until then, Shemi and Matet.